Hey everyone, I'm Armor Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to a Monster Legends video. And I really don't know what to say other than I am completely lost in Monster Legends. I seriously have no idea what's going on. So a few days ago, I think almost 2 weeks now, I posted a video saying I was going to be releasing old videos because I was going to take a little break. It was just going to be a 3 or 4 day break. It ended up being like a 5, 6, 7 day break, almost a week. And then I'm still like on this break. I've just been in this slump where I don't feel like making any videos for Monster Legends. You know, there's a lot of factors playing into that. A good majority of my good friends started leaving the game just due to they don't like the way Social Point has handled a lot of the Monster Legends exploits and glitches that have been released. So that's had a huge impact on me. And then I have things going on in my personal life, and then so I basically just like blink for 1 second and then all this stuff gets released in Monster Legends. Too much to keep up with and I have no idea what's going on, so I figured I'd use this video just to check out everything, look at the update section, and try to understand what's going on. A huge thanks to Simon and Kazoo. They've been talking to me, telling me what's new in the game, all the new updates. I mean, just taking a look at the screen now, we have the storage icon on top of the war shield, or the place where you start war. We have this little icon where it is now your friends, where you get your stamina. You can check out the news. It's loading right now. For some reason it takes forever to load on my, there it is. So my friends, you can invite friends, you get these different rewards. Welcome gift, first adventure, there's a nifty little friendship chest there. You can get gold relics there. The new section, like I said, is right here. There's a frat event, there's elemental cells, there's all this stuff going on. So without further ado, let's just jump into the update section and see what exactly is going on in Monster Legends. Alright, so looking at the updates, I believe this was the last thing I read, so we'll start here. Elemental cells and elemental dungeons. Greetings, Monster Masters. Have you ever gotten frustrated when you were missing cells or Elementium to rank up your monsters? Are you always on the lookout for Elementium? Dr. Victor got you covered. He took his time, but he finally came up with a new idea. Elemental cells. What are elemental cells? Each element in the game has its own elemental cell. There are 9 of them. Lists all the different elements. Elemental cells can be used to rank up or craft the same element in the laboratory. So then here are some questions. Can I extract elemental cells from monsters other than legendary monsters? The answer is no. They can only be extracted from legendary monsters. How do you get elemental cells? Elemental cells can be extracted from legendary monsters. When extracting cells from a monster, you can choose to extract either monster cells or elemental cells. You cannot extract both. Elemental cells are also available in some chests and as rewards in various events in the game. Lately, we've been seeing a lot of elemental dungeons, which is a pretty nifty way to get cells. How exactly can I craft up or rank up monsters with elemental cells? So crafting. Once you collect enough monster cells for a specific monster, you can use crafting pods from the lab to start the creation of an egg. If you don't have enough cells, you can use Elementium or elemental cells to fill the gap. If you don't have enough cells, you can use Elementium or elemental cells. But be aware that if you don't own the monster, you must have at least 80 normal cells to use the Elementium and the elemental cells. So one thing I've noticed is that a lot of people aren't exactly sure how to use elemental cells, and myself included. Again, I have for the past 2 weeks I haven't been keeping up with anything really Monster Legends related. So let's see if I can understand this. So to craft a water elemental monster, you can use both monster cells and water cells. If you already own the monster and you want to craft a second one, you can use any amount of Elementium or elemental cells. You must choose only Elementium or only elemental cells. It is not possible to mix the two to fill the missing gap. That does not make any sense. Okay, so I understand what everyone has been saying. The fact that you can't mix the two makes absolutely no sense at all. So if you have, oh my gosh, I'll get more into this. Let me finish. To rank up a monster using elemental cells, you also need a minimum amount monster cells. So like always, and then you can use elemental cells to fill the missing gap. Note this applies from rank 1 to rank 5. For example, to rank up Earth monster from rank 2 to 3, you will need to have a minimum amount of monster cells. Then you can fill the missing gap with Earth cells. Using fire cells for any elemental cell will not work. Can you donate? No, you can't donate. Where can I find them? I don't think these questions are that important. Okay, 1 second. So I'm at the lab right now and I'm taking a look at my vaults. Right now I have 2 metal cells, 2 fire cells, 26 magic. And then this is because some people have been buying some gems and this is awarding the whole team with cells. So anyhow, let's try to rank up a monster. Or let's try to extract. No, yeah, it has to be a rank up. So let's rank up a monster. Let me get my little common. And let's see. So when I click on a monster, like Rocantium for example, it says rank up for 120 cells, or down here I have 7 elemental cells. Let's try a different monster. Let's go to a different category. Right here. So I can either fill the remaining, so if I wanted to rank this monster up, I have 133 of Alex Bone cells, and if I wanted to rank him up to the next rank, I need either 237 Thunder cells or 237 Elementium cells. It does not make any sense that you can't mix the two. Why can't I use 200 Elementium cells and then 37 Thunder cells, or vice versa, or however amount I want? Why do I have to use one or the other? I don't like this. Let me actually go to extraction, because that's what we need to talk about. So when you extract a monster, and I'll do Arcantium since I don't have a bunch of him. When you extract a monster, you can now choose to get 100 cells of that monster, or 10 cells of the element of that monster. Which honestly, this was I had this idea for a while. I was thinking you should be able to extract any legendary for Elementium. That was my initial thought. I don't think I ever mentioned it in a video or even to Social Point, but I was thinking, wouldn't it be cool if you can extract any legendary monster for some Elementium, even if it was like 1/10, which is essentially what they're doing. You're getting a 10th of whatever cells you could normally get, because 10 Elementium could go a far way, because you can just breed breedable monsters, breedable legendaries, get the Elementium, use it for any monster you wanted, Nemesis or VIP monster. But unfortunately, you can't do that, because now we got elemental cells, which is exclusive only to earth monsters or fire monsters or whatever element you have. And furthermore, you're not even allowed to mix them with Elementium. So that didn't work out nicely. In my opinion, they should have just done Elementium. Extracting a Arcantium for 10 Elementium, I would have been okay with that. It seems like a small amount, but considering you have breedable legendary monsters, and when there's no event going on, or when there's an event you don't care about, you really have nothing better to do than to just breed a monster, or legendary monsters. You might as well, you could have benefited from that. But this, I'm not liking this. And I will say, I feel that in the future, there's just going to be so much backlash from this, that in the future, they're going to make it so you can mix the two. So that's just something we have to look forward to, I'm thinking. So for now, just start accumulating those cells. If anything, the best thing about these cells is that you can use them to craft a monster you don't have. That's really the best thing I see. If you want to, let's go to, I'm lost right now. Let's go back on my vault. Let's go to craft. This is really what I see the elemental cells having their most purpose. So if you want to craft a monster for the very first time, like Cassandra, I need 5 more cells. So I could use 5 Elementium, I could use 25 Elementium, or since I have 26 elemental magic cells, I can fill that and get Cassandra. So that is really the only benefit I see for the elemental cells right now. Until you can mix them, I really don't see these being that useful. And I would just urge everyone to start accumulating them, to just start saving them up. Hopefully in the future you will be able to mix them. For now, your best bet is just to use them to craft a monster for the very first time. And that really appears to be the only benefit to them. Or I guess that would even apply to ranking. If you're just a few cells away from ranking your monster, and you could use Elementium, maybe like if I was to extract another Frostbite, I'd get 100 cells, in which case I would only need 13 more Elementium, and I have 9 of the water cells. Maybe I could just extract a Lord of Atlantis and get the remaining cells. Like, I guess these cells right now, they're helpful just when you need just a little bit extra. But oh gosh, I don't like them that much. I really don't. Let's see what else we have in the updates. Lathe in Monsterwood. So during this whole month, you're gonna get a chance to get Lathe. Last month you had a chance to get ROFL, and I will say this is pretty darn cool, because even if you happen to get this monster just once, keep in mind that's a value of 249 gems. So if you're watching a Monsterwood video and you happen to get lucky and get a monster, regardless of whether or not you like the monster, it is a good value. Like, it's the equivalent to watching 249 videos that gave you 1 gem. Pretty cool, and then it also helps complete the library. So that's nice. In my baby account, I got like 4 ROFLs. Extremely nice. On my main account, I only got 1 of them. So different accounts have different probabilities. I don't know. PvP improvements. Let's see. Multiplayer is one of the key features in Monster Legends. We believe it gives our players a great opportunity to compete against each other. We ourselves enjoy it very much. To make the experience enjoyable and fair, we'll be making changes we believe are necessary. What are these changes? From now on, if you encounter your teammates in PvP, you won't be able to receive any trophies for wins or losses. Since everyone on the team knows each other, it is possible to help your friends climb the ladder more easily. Therefore, we had to make sure the trophies are not influenced by this behavior. We would like multiplayer mode to be a single player experience in which everyone fights for their own glory. This change will be live on April 5th, so as of the time watching this video, it is already live. And so I guess it's kind of nice to see that they're finally tackling player versus player. especially going after, I guess, those players that just have an absurd amount of trophies. So I guess that's a nice thing. I mean, it really doesn't influence the majority of players. It only influences the players at the top. But I mean, the players at the very top, they should all have the same opportunity to reach that legendary leader position, so it's only fair. We also have Team War improvements. So let's see, Team War's matchmaking improvements are here. As promised at the beginning of the year, in the next few weeks we'll be focusing on improving Team Wars. Thank you very much. So lately we've noticed that Team Wars have been hectic. I think we lost like 3 wars in a row. We were completely outmatched. It made no sense. And I think this is after they said they were improving it, but just based on whatever happened, we got wrecked 3 wars in a row. That normally never happens. So let's see, the first thing we will dive into the next couple of weeks is the matchmaking, as it is the core of Team Wars. It can be quite frustrating. Let's see, the first improvements are live. We will slightly change the conditions of matchmaking to get better quality of opponents, especially for top teams. The main factor is to improve the chances of teams with similar monster power that are matched together. On top of that, we fixed the issue of participating members for both teams not being equal. Whoa, as of now, your team shouldn't be battling against either more or less. So I've never experienced this personally in like over maybe like 300 wars I've done, but I have seen posts on Facebook where a 25 player team would face a 30 player team, which is just completely unfair, as the attacking team or the team with 30 members has 5 more attacks. So yeah, I expect to see more improvements, so that's good to know that there's going to be more improvements. And let's see what else. We have bugs. Well, what happened there? Bugs. So we will be fixing bugs. So there's a few monsters. Deliverance, Aran casts 50% damage mirror. Altus's pet heals himself. Atum's bodyguard stuns all enemies. Upper level elixir, Gretchen gives a 2-turn skill mirror. And so I guess all these different skills are getting fixed. That's good. Ooh, Ingenica, trade disabled first. That is nice. That means the possession will land, as opposed to how it was before, where it was possession then trade disabled, meaning monsters that were immune to possession, it wouldn't be able to hit them. Let's see. Isofegs, Angry Xenophagus, extra turn set to buff, it cannot miss. Thank you. It sucks knowing that an extra turn skill could miss. Let's see, Tinkerion, active solar, heals himself by 30, knowledge is power. Didn't use too much, supplies burn, okay. Anything else? Description fixes. Deals moderate special damage, apply total blind to one enemy, applies, there we go. The wording, sometimes that's all we need. Blood Covenant, fixed description, inflicts low dark damage and removes 10% of stamina each turn. Okay, wait, was that ever a thing? Whoa, inflicts low dark damage. Blood Covenant to himself? Okay, so I'm not sure why it shows that under Blood Covenant. That should not be the thing. Blood Covenant is a skill that gives them an extra turn. It gives them double damage. It gives them stamina regeneration. So that's confusing me. Warthog added requires cooldown. Fixed description added requires cooldown. Ooh, to what skill? It better not be the Mountain Splitter zero cooldown skill. What the heck? A glitch gives triple damage and possession exclusive. Target nightmares. Inflicts low dark damage and removes 10% of stamina each turn. Okay, nice. Finally, all nightmares are going to do that. Traits. So this one's interesting. Immune to sudden death. It's updated. It now blocks death countdown and instant kill skills. And the important thing about this is the fact that they now block instant kill skills, which now makes them viable. Because before death countdown, that's kind of a useless trait to have. Like, not that many monsters rely on a death countdown to kill you, but instant kill, those are really threatening. You know what Tinkerion can do, I think, what Orals can do. Those are huge threats, so it's nice that some monsters are finally getting fixed. And let's see, Rossigon. Okay, they're gonna add remove all positive effects on target. I can make a whole rant video about this, and in fact I probably will. Yes, I have to. Oh my god. Okay, Rossigon was the whole reason I cared about the Knights and Castles event, or the Knights and Dragons, whatever it was called. Rossigon, like, I was gonna name my Rossigon Rossi God, and if you guys saw the video, I titled it like Rossigon is amazing. I really did think that. I think even in the video I claimed he has the potential to be the #1 light legendary monster, which is really weird because he's not a denier. He's not the kind of monster you would run 3 speedruns on. You would give him 3 team speed. You would have him go last. You would just have him. He had so much synergy with so many monsters. Like, you could do so much stuff with this monster for fun. You could use Sammy, give an extra turn to Rossigon. Rossigon now has increased accuracy. He has a buff. Then he can give an extra turn back to Sammy, which resets his cooldown, which means now Sammy can give an extra turn to the main attacker, and it's just for fun, right? And then Rossigon, he could he could just give an extra turn to the attacker after he's used his strong 45 damage AoE, and then it resets the cooldown. He can do it again, so it's almost like the attacker having double damage, but it's not because he resets the cooldown. And in case your attacker had any negative effect, he gets rid of those negative effects. But I'll get it. I don't want to rant in this video about Rossigan. That he needs a separate video on his own. But yeah, let's continue with this video. So let's see what else. Patch notes version 6.3.1. What do you have here? Invite your friends. Monster Legends more fun with friends. Invite friends and you get rewards. I went over that briefly earlier. Battle attack orders improvement. Since we have noticed there have been issues with attack orders when speed modifications were applied, with this update we have fixed the logic of turn orders every time there's a speed up or slow down applied by relics or status. So this is good news. Hopefully it's actually fixed. Now we will recalculate all monster attack orders whenever a speed modification is applied or when a speed modification effect expires. That's good. We will take into account the current attack orders whenever a monster is resurrected. That's also good. Hopefully it's still predictable like it used to be. Because before, when a monster died, essentially when you resurrect a monster, it reset back to the original turn order, and the only difference was that it skipped the very first monster, which I would use to my advantage all the time, considering typically in my battles it's always the enemy monster going first, and then my Sammy. Let's see, fixes. Fix claiming team rewards with different accounts on the same devices. I didn't know that was an issue. Mirror skills won't reflect perks anymore. That was annoying when it happened. Alright, so a few differences there. And then the frat event. Ooh, the frat event. This one's interesting. So on Friday, 6th of April, we will release a new type of frat events. And in order for this to be the case, you need to make sure your game is updated to version 6.3 or above. Otherwise, you won't be able to see the event. So this event will last 3 days, and it's identical to previous frat events. The difference will be the pool of rewards. For the entire duration of this event, every gem packs purchased in the shop by a team member will grant Elementium or Elemental Cells to the entire team. After every purchase, there will be a random selection between Elementium and one of the 9 types of Elemental Cells, so there's 10 different options. And so for example, if you buy 800 gems pack, the team will be given a chance to get 18 Elementium or 25 Thunder Cells. If the team buys the 1700 gem pack, the biggest pack there is, the team will receive either 35 Elementium or 50 Water Cells. So, let's see. Below you can find how much Elementium is obtainable based on the gem pack. So the biggest one, right? 35 Elementium or 50 Elemental Cells. So, I've been seeing this, that a lot of people are upset about this, once again, because Elemental Cells, right now, they really aren't that great. First of all, a lot of people don't really know how to use them. And second of all, the fact that you can mix the two, that's just not good. I think this is going to discourage a lot of people from making purchases during the frat events, because people want their Elementium. They don't want these, what can I call it? What's a nice way to say it? People don't want these, sorry excuse for Elementium. People don't want Elemental Cells. They want Elementium because Elementium can be used for any monster, whereas Elemental Cells have a specific purpose, and then you can't even mix the two. Now, I think in the long run, I actually think Elemental Cells, even if they aren't changed, are probably more beneficial. What sucks here is that you're awarded a random one and not like, I think if you could pick, that would be easier. But the fact that it's random, gosh, Elemental Cells, man, it's hard to be on the side of Elemental Cells. Like, here's what I can think. Okay, the reason Elemental Cells are being introduced in frat events, and the fact that they're randomly distributed, you can't even select which one you want to give to your team, is because with Elementium, it's so darn easy to rank up monsters. Here's the one thing I will say, I have never liked Elementium. Oh my gosh, I don't want to rant about this, but here's the truth about Elementium. Before Elementium was a thing, people would literally have to purchase 17 copies of a monster in order to rank up a monster all the way to 130. You know how expensive that was? That was crazy expensive. And so obviously the people that actually invested in that were the ones that were going to be at the very top of the game, because you have to spend a lot of money to get everyone to 130. But then we started having frat events, and the first frat events we had were the war coins. And so those top teams that everyone purchases a gem pack or 2 gem packs or 3 or, you know, a couple hundred. People that purchase gem packs in a team were awarded with so many war coins that they easily got 130 generals, 130 of every general, and then they got a lot of runes because that was the next thing to buy. But after everyone had their 130 generals, next came the Elementium frat event, and this is like, honestly, I didn't think VIPs, like, VIP monsters were exclusively pay to win, but honestly, when Elementium got released, that is when the disparity in my opinion, really grew between free-to-play, pay-to-win, casual spenders. Because now you have teams. Like, if every single player, you have 30 players on a team, everyone buys a $50 gem pack. So 30 times 35, what is that? Over 1,050. Back then, the individual player that bought gems wouldn't get any Elementium, so it was 1035, 1015, whatever, just over 1,000, right? If every player buys a $50 gem pack, everyone gets 1,000 Elementium. So if everyone buys 2 gem packs, they get 2,000 Elementiums. So whereas before where a single player needed to buy 17 copies of a monster, now all they need to do, and let's see, if a monster costs 249 gems and a gem pack gets you 1,700 gems, you could buy what, like 250, 500, 750, 1,000, 1,250, 15. You could buy 6 copies of monster. Sorry, the math is wrong doing this off the top of my head, but now you can spend $100, 2 gem packs, and your whole team gets 2,000 Elementium, which is enough to rank a monster, have some Elementium left over. Like, Elementium seriously grew the disparity between players, in my opinion. And Elementium, in my opinion, was the very worst game sanctioned release that people were just okay with, you know? Every time something gets released that doesn't benefit like certain players, there's outrage, like, oh, this isn't fair. And then you get some players that are like, I'm standing up for the free-to-play community, this isn't fair, change it back. And that's kind of happening with this. People are like, give back the frat events, it's not fair to free-to-play players because now we can't help them by no, like, seriously, I don't know, if you're gonna stand up for a cause, don't do it under the disguise of I'm standing up for the little people. Just say, hey, I want my Elementium back because I benefited a lot from it. But don't try to go under the rules of like standing up for the free-to-play community. Honestly, just about anything that gets introduced to the game where you can gain an advantage by spending money, it's always going to benefit a certain group of people more than anyone else. But Elementium, just all of a sudden, everyone started having 130s on one side of the game, and everyone else was stuck with their 100s and just grinding it out to just try to get a 105 and a 110. But to an extent, it also doesn't matter because the teams that have to compete at the elite level, they're on a whole different scale than you'll probably never run into them. So it's also fine, let them fight it out, I guess. But I don't know, I always find that I tend to have different thoughts than what the majority tends to have. I'm not a fan of elemental cells. Do I really care for Elementium? Do I really care that now the frat events are gonna have elemental cells instead of Elementium? Honestly, not really. I still believe that in the future they're gonna make it so you can mix the two just because there's gonna be so much backlash. And if that is the case, well, now you're getting 50 elemental cells, so that'll actually benefit you in the long run. And even if they end up not mixing the two, I mean, if anything, I guess it kind of slows down the progress between getting 130 monsters. Like seriously, you won't be able to get them just as easily. And I feel that Social Point, again, I didn't like Elementium. They should have never introduced it. If you disagree with me and you want to give your own opinion, I highly recommend going to the Social Point forum. There's an interesting topic right there where you can discuss your thoughts on the elemental frat events. If you don't like it, if you do like it, if you want to give your case for it, against it, be sure to do that. Again, I'm just trying to keep up with everything going on in Monster Legends. Been away for a while. The update section didn't really help too much. And actually, I don't even need to end the video. There's still so much more I need to talk about. Because actually, there was a lot of changes to the game mechanics that weren't even talked about in the update section. For example, the way buffs work now. And again, a big thanks to Simon and Kazoo for talking to me about this. Like, before, if a monster had a damage buff, a 50% damage buff, and double damage, that was equivalent to triple damage. But now that's not the case. Now it's just equivalent to like a 250% damage buff. And for example, if you had a 50% damage buff, double damage, and triple damage, you know, when the monster went, you would see all of those, plus 50%. Plus 100, plus 200%. But now it just shows as one cumulative total, and that's the same if you have double damage but then damage reduction. So it kind of helps, so you don't need to see every single animation. And I've been told it's a similar thing with DOT damage and having like life regeneration or something. I wonder if it can work. Let me really quickly go on adventure map and let me see if that is the case. Let's just fight a random team. Let's use Sammy. Oh, another thing that happened is the life bars and the stamina bar. And now if the monster has a shield or has a shield relic, you can actually see it. So that's pretty nice. Let me click Pestilence. Poison, bleeding, special weakness. Let's recharge. Let's see. She loses. Yeah, so see, she just lost damage. 9,320 damage. And her damage output was reduced by 40%. So now you don't need to see the bleed damage and the poison damage and every other damage. It was just straightforward this is how much you lose, which is pretty cool. I really like that. I think it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to just sit there and wait for every single effect to apply. Let's see if I can do Pestilence and then Bleeding from Taiga, and then we can see the same thing. So do Strength from Beyond on Taiga, and then status effects, that's different too. And I think some other animations changed. I don't know if when the monster recharges or when they get a buff or something. Let's do Deadly Artifice. And so now they have Bleeding, Poison, and everything. So 9,000, oh, it didn't land. But you see what I mean, right? It just says minus 20%, whatever, minus damage. So that's kind of cool. Let's see if I can show you the shield actually. Let me put a monster that can set up a shield. So that would be good, or a monster that has a shield. I guess I can do Gersis. Anyone else come to mind who has a shield? Who has a shield? Tanky monster, I don't think you have a shield. Who is tanky? I think you can have a shield. You have a shield for sure. Alright, let's click fight. And double life shield. Armed troops, check this out. Again, most of you probably know this, but I'm new to all this. So there it is, purple life bar, or purple shield bar. So now if a monster attacks me, or if I attack a monster, I can know how much exactly I'm taking out of them, how much HP. So that's nice. Some really nice changes. I don't know how the whole speed is affected. So we're gonna have to wait and see. I don't know if the relics were fixed, because those relic bugs were so annoying. But yeah, there's still so much more that I think people are slowly discovering as time goes on. And so yeah, I think I've talked long enough. Like I said, I am really behind. It might take me a while to catch up on everything, to figure out what's going on, to figure out what changes, if any major changes to monsters were included into these updates. But for now, hi everyone, I'm back, I think. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you on the next video.